What's up guys, it's Topsy, and here we are with another installment of What If Duels Kingdom had a SpeedDuel box. And for today's video, we are going to be covering Rex Raptor. And I'm not gonna lie, building his deck was a little bit challenging. I say this for a few reasons. For one, Rex had already gotten a structure deck back, a while ago actually, in the Ultimate Predators starter deck. So in that set, he ended up getting a lot of his dinosaur support, and not even including the fact that another character in Hasselberry has also received quite a bit of dinosaur support. So finding cards that pertained to Rex Raptor himself, while not giving him too much in order to make the typing way too unbalanced, was a little challenging to do. However, I think I've met a happy medium. Now, before we begin, I would like to say that if you do end up enjoying today's video, then a like would be very much appreciated, as well as a subscribe, because you never know, I might end up covering one of your favorite characters in a future video. So, with all that being said, let's get started. Alright then, so here we have Rex's deck, and for his strategy, as you can see, there is a lot of vanilla monsters, but there is a good reason for that. I'll explain all that once we get to actually breaking down the strategy. But the inspiration for building his deck pretty much came around the idea of giving him cards that he used for the Duelist Kingdom arc alongside the Waking the Dragon Lords arc as well, because let's see next time we see him make an appearance. And let's be real, if I do end up making a Waking the Dragon Lords arc, there's no way I'm making a deck for Rex Raptor there. He doesn't have enough material to work with. So we'll incorporate some of those cards in today's deck profile. Let's go ahead and begin by breaking down Rex's new skills that we're going to be giving him for this deck. And the first one is kind of cool. So the first skill that I ended up making for him, the default skill, is going to be this right here, Draconic Evolution Pill. And this is to go ahead and pay homage to the fact that in Duelist Kingdom, his ace monster was Red Ice Black Dragon, and we can see him right there in the deck. And he already received a Serpent Knight Dragon deck already in the Ultimate Predator set, so I figured that Red Ice deserved its own deck as well. But this skill is going to make use of both of them if you plan to play it in either or. Now then, what does this skill do? Well, it reads, activate this skill during your main phase and apply one of the following effects once per turn. While you control no monsters, you can normal summon or set level 5 or higher non-effect dinosaur monsters without tributing. See, you see, one of the things that I wanted to do with this strategy was incorporate his vanilla dinos that he had in the arc that hadn't been printed yet into this deck. So adding this little bit of effect, just where you can just normal summon them without having to worry about tributing them, I think is a very, very nice addition to the skill. But the most important part of the skill here is this part. Banish 2 dinosaur monsters from your hand and or graveyard. Special summon 1 level 7 non-effect Dark Dragon monster from your hand and or deck. That monster is also treated as a dinosaur monster on the field. And I think this is a really cool way to tie the whole strategy together. Being able to incorporate the whole evolution pill mechanic into this skill, alongside incorporating his vanilla monsters and Red Ice Black Dragon, was a really nice and interesting way to incorporate Rex as a character for this arc. And I feel like this is a very fairly balanced way to do this as well. The targeted monsters you can summon off this effect are very, very limited. As far as I know, I think that only restricts you to summoning Serpent Knight Dragon and or Red Ice Black Dragon via this skill. And I think the addition of that monster being treated as a dinosaur monster is a really nice touch to that as well, just because it's kind of hard to play a dinosaur deck where you're also playing a dragon in the strategy. There's very little synergy, but with this skill, it adds that hint of synergy in there. So I think it's kind of neat. The other skill that we ended up giving Rex is Jurassic Power. So Jurassic Power is a continuous spell currently in the game, and it's pretty good. It's a pretty nice continuous spell. However, I didn't like the whole wording of the card, so I ended up making a watered down version of that spell card into a skill, and it reads, all dinosaur monsters you control gain 300 attack. You can normal summon level 5 or higher non-effect dinosaur monsters without tributing. Once per turn, you can send 1 dinosaur monster from your hand and or field to the graveyard to add a dinosaur monster with 1200 defense from your deck to your hand. So the main difference that I ended up changing from the original Jurassic Power to this skill is the summoning mechanic here. Typically, this spell card would let you summon any dinosaur monster without tributing, and I figured that that could possibly get into the weird territory where the deck gets a little too strong and gets overwhelming. So restricting you to only the vanillas and just giving you a nice little attack boost from the get-go seemed like a nice little addition. And the searching effect isn't even that scary because while you are able to search out a good amount of dinosaur monsters, the quantity of them is actually quite limited, but there is a few. So I think as a whole, this skill is a way to incorporate that really cool continuous spell in a more balanced version of it, and I quite like it. I like it a lot actually. But in the comment section below, let me give me your thoughts on both these skills. I personally think they're pretty nice, but I don't know. Maybe you guys think they're a little too weak, maybe not strong enough. Just let me know. I always love hearing your guys' thoughts in the comment section below. Now it's time to actually break down Rex's strategy, his deck. What cards did we give him? As you can see, he has a few new monsters in addition to his deck. The first one that I wanted to go ahead and talk about is double-headed Dino King Rex. I really wanted to give him the evolved form of this card as well for this strategy. However, that card proved to be a teensy bit too strong. And because of that, I had to just settle with this card alone. And don't get me wrong, this card isn't bad. Its effect is pretty nice, being able to normal summon him when you control no monsters. That's really cool. But the scariest part about this card is the fact that on summon it does get to pop a card in the field with less attack stat than he does. However, this is balanced by the fact that it is a fairly weak monster. So typically when you summon him, you're going to be summoning him without tributing, and the only attack stat on the field is going to be 1600. So the targets are going to be very limited. And I think that itself balances this card out. And typically, if you already have an established large dinosaur monster on your field, then you're probably already winning that duel. So being able to summon this guy to pop another card on the field seems a little redundant. So for that reason, I think this card is okay and wouldn't cause any issues in the game. The next card, however, is a bit more problematic, that being Giant Rex. And I put Giant Rex in this deck for a few reasons. One, this is a card that Rex actually played in the Awaken the Dragon Lord's arc. I was surprised as well. I forgot that he actually played this card. But for two, I have a whole banish aspect to the deck that makes great use of Giant Rex, as you can see from the skill alone, but there's other parts of the deck that also incorporate this whole mechanic. And because of those two reasons, I really liked this card being added to the deck. Now, the main argument as to why this card could possibly be okay in Speed Duels is that we already have cards like DD Scout Plane and DD Survivor that are pretty good in banished strategies. And Giant Rex is only 200 attack points stronger than the DD Survivor. I do acknowledge that it has a much easier summoning mechanic where it just has to be banished from anywhere. So that makes him a lot stronger, and not only that, but it's a summon back to the field immediately. So I could definitely see that being a little bit problematic. So for that reason, I'm like, it's a bit on the strong side, but I feel like it'd be okay. But I don't know. Next card up we have is Gillosaurus. We have a lot of large dinosaur monsters that we could tribute for with the Megazowler and the Sword Arm of Dragon. So adding Gillosaurus to the deck made sense. Not only that, but Rex has a whole playstyle where he's very aggressive, gets a lot of monsters on the field, and tries to go for a lot of damage. So Gillosaurus helps facilitate that on its own as well. And lastly, this is also another card that he played in the Awaken the Dragon Lord's arc. So I'm like, you know what? Let's add him in. Next card up is from that very same arc as well, Kaito Terra. And this card's awesome. The effect of it is very balanced, just being able to add you a polymerization on summon. Next up, we have Tyranno Infinity. We're going to be banishing a lot of dinosaur monsters in this strategy, and the Tyranno Infinity is going to take full advantage of that. I believe this card was a Hassleberry card, but I feel like they shared a lot of cards in their card pool together in each other's decks, so I feel like it's fine if Rex gets this card as well. And that pretty much concludes all the effect monsters. I think it's a really nice lineup of effect monsters. I particularly like the double-headed Dino King Rex just because it's such a Rex card, and I think it's very much balanced. And the one that I probably have the biggest issue with adding is Giant Rex, just because it's a very strong card with the effect that it has, but I feel like it'd be okay. The last bit of the monsters are all vanillas in Crawling Dragon number 2, Megazowler, Reddish Black Dragon, Sabersaurus, Sword Arm of Dragon, and the two-headed King Rex. The primary reason for these cards being here are the following. First, Crawling Dragon number 2 and two-headed King Rex could have easily been replaced with other dinosaur cards like the Hyper Hammerhead or the Dark Triceratops, cards like those. But instead I decided if we're going to be having a card like Kaitopera in the deck where it's able to search out a card like Polymerization, we might as well give it some few targets. And that's why he also ended up getting the Brachial Radius, because that's the fusion monster between the two-headed King Rex and the Crawling Dragon. I don't know how these two guys make this guy, but you know what? Whatever, that's old Yu-Gi-Oh for you. But that's the primary reason why we have these. I wanted to go ahead and just use as many cards of Rex used throughout the anime, and you know what, it felt like a cool way to incorporate this card into the game. It's not good, but you know what, might as well. As for the cards Mega Zowler and Sword of Marv Dragon, these were two just cards that he played in the anime against Joey, and I'm just surprised they haven't been printed, like not even like in a booster pack or something. So you know what, if we can incorporate them into a skill, why not put them in the deck as well? And that's part of the reason why I designed these skills the way I did too. And of course, Red Ice Black Dragon, well, it's Red Ice Black Dragon, that was his ace originally. And, well, spoiler alert, Joey doesn't have Red Ice in his deck, so we had to put him somewhere. So that's why he's here. Moving down to the spell cards now. We have a lot of like cards that we've seen already in the game. The Fossil Deck for consistency, the Jurassic World for, well, this one's going to be important once we get to the other fusion monster, and Polymerization for the search target of the Kaitopera. Now, another card that I ended up printing here for as well is the Heat Wave. This is a card that only ever got printed in the Ultimate Predator set, where we saw the debut of Rex. And I'm like, you know what? It would make sense to incorporate this card into this strategy as well, because as you can see, we have a whole lot of vanillas that can make good use of this spell card. And you know, it made too much sense. The other card that I added for the spell section is Miracle Dig. The main reason why is because this card itself makes use of the whole gimmick that we're going for this strategy. The fact that we're trying to banish stuff in the graveyard in order to make use of some of our effects. Not only that, but Miracle Dig kind of just seems like a card Rex would have played in the anime. We have the whole like excavation aspect of it, like paleontology. So thematically, it just makes sense in the strategy, and I think it looks like a card that would be there. I don't know. I can see this card being like introduced with characters like Rex, Hassleberry, and or like Jim, because they all have like that whole paleo idea behind them, you know? So that's why we added that here. And also, like, it's honestly really balanced. A lot more balance than a card like DDR? Wait, no, what's the name of the card? The card was Burial from a Different Dimension. The Miracle Dig is a lot more balanced than this card that just targets 3 banished monsters. This one has the condition that you need 5 or more, so that's why I chose this one instead. Now onto the trap cards. The first trap card we're going to be talking about here is Paleozoic Olenoids, and you know, again, we're back to the whole idea of this makes sense for a character like Rex, because again, we're dealing with like prehistoric stuff, the paleo era, dinosaurs, you know. Not only that, but realistically, a card like Olenoids would be 100% okay in the game, just because we already have a card like Dust Tornado in the game, and if a card like MST can also exist as well, then I see no reason why Olenoids couldn't be introduced as well. Next card up we have is Strike Slash, and the primary reason I have this card in his deck is because it's a really cool trap card that makes use of this whole aspect of Rex being a really aggressive pedal to the metal kind of duelist, where he just likes having big damage on board. And honestly, this card is unbelievably balanced, because this card activates when you attack, and it gives your monster a nice 700 attack boost while giving them piercing damage until the end phase. So it's a 1-turn boost that only activates when you are actively attacking, so you can't even activate it on your opponent's turn. Because of that, I feel like this card's completely fine and just kind of like a cool addition to the game. Next card up we have is Survival Instinct, another card that makes use of the whole banish gimmick we have going on. Going ahead and I imagine being able to activate this like in the middle of the duel in a pinch where you just need to recover a few life points in order to get yourself back into it, and then next turn activating like Miracle Dig to get back some of your materials. I don't know, it's kind of like a cool idea. And again, it's a card that already exists in the game, so why not? And we have a banish thing going on, so it seems like a cool addition. Alright, last card up is Survival of the Fittest, and this is one of those cards that seems kind of scary to print at first, but I think it's going to be fine if we did get it into the game. The main idea of why this card is kind of like scary is just because it gives a dinosaur monster a massive attack boost at 1000 attack points, and it gives them the ability to attack again when it destroys a monster. However, this is a trap card that is that it's only live for one whole turn, a lot like Kunai with Chain. So that means that the attack boost would only last for one whole turn, and the fact that when it does declare a second attack, it has to be on an opponent's monster. So because of that, I feel like this card is fairly balanced. Like, it would be really good in dinosaur decks, but it should be fairly balanced for that battle phase. Not only that, but I love the idea of being able to activate this trap card, equipping it on a card like Red Ace Black Dragon, and having you go for game with that. That sounds really, really cool, because I remember our skill makes our Red Ace Black Dragon, we summoned off that skill into a dinosaur on field. So this is another way of making Red Ace a lot more viable. It could get kind of scary with the cards like Ultimate Conductor Tyranno or the Black Tyranno. Those cards could be kind of scary being equipped with this card as well, but I feel like as a whole, it should be fine. Let's go ahead and wrap up with the fusion monsters now. As I mentioned, Brachial Radius is just here because we have the whole fusion mechanic. I feel like it's fine. Last card up is the Horned Saurus. Again, this is another card that Rex played in the Waking the Dragon Lords arc, and it's a really, really cool card with a very annoying and powerful effect that reads that when it's special summoned, that turn it's able to attack directly, which can get kind of annoying. However, with the amount of counter traps we have in the game, cards like Zero Gravity, Storm of Etiqua, Book of Moon, Canadia, all these cards can make cards like these not be as big of an issue. Like, don't get me wrong, the attack directly is really annoying, but my main argument for this is that it is a fusion monster that requires named materials, so it's not hyper generic. It is pretty generic, but not hyper generic, so that's one of the things that makes it semi-balanced. But for 2, the initial effect of attacking directly, it's only for one turn that it can attack directly. So I feel like if you deal with it immediately, it's not that big of a deal, because the attacks that it has, it's nothing to scoff at, but it's nothing to be like actively horrified at either. So that's what part of the reason why I think a card like this would be fine in Speed Duels. But again, I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts in the comment section below. And with that, guys, this concludes Rex Raptor's deck. As a whole, I feel like his strategy is weaker compared to some of the other decks that I've constructed thus far. But it's, as I said, I had to like walk a thin line between what was too good and not good enough for his strategy. And I think I made a healthy balance with cards that feel anime-esque, where you're still able to feel like you're playing a deck that Rex Raptor would have used in the anime, and making it as viable as possible as well. For the next video, I think I'm going to be covering Mako's deck, and that should be a fun one. I had a lot of fun with that deck. We are making full use of the Umi field spell, so stay tuned for that. But with that, guys, that's the end of the video. If you did end up enjoying today's video, then I would really, really appreciate it if you could leave a like and subscribe to the channel. We've been growing a lot lately, and I want to get to 500 subscribers by the end of the year, and I think we can do it. And it can't be done without you guys. And again, big thank you to everyone that does help me out. But with that being said, thank you so much for stopping by, and I'll catch you on the next one. Bye.